The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
The 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer with the sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinski as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering hole. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get it. All right, the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. Brunch edition on this Labor Day of 2024. Happy to have back in the sports bar for a little holiday Monday brunch and everything else. The one and only Jim, the fan in the van, Plotner. How you doing today, Jimmy boy?
I'm doing a little bit better, just getting over being a little sick. But other than that, doing a little bit better. I could be doing a lot better. I'm doing a lot better than the Yankees, that's for sure.
Little hiccup yesterday, but I want to first get into congratulating you a little bit. You lifelong goalie, or you got yourself blocked by the one and only, I guess you could say, Deshaun Watson on Instagram. Like, what did you say? What did you do to finally make this all come to fruition?
Just all the truthful stuff on Twitter that was posted. I think the one that got him was, there was something like, with what are his stat lines for this year? And I put, he'll only play up until like week 3, and then he'll be scouting all the massage parlors in Cleveland, and he'll get another like 37 sexual allegations against him. And then I decided to tag at Deshaun Watson at it like I always do. And then yesterday, for shits and giggles, I wanted to tweet something at him. You're blocked. And there we go. It happened. It finally happened.
No matter how big of a celebrity you are and how much money you might have in your bank account, somebody can say something just a little bit to you, and it might hurt your feelings, get yourself blocked. And it's kind of like, it's funny. I mean, I find it quite humorous that a guy with the clout that he's got in the professional sports world would even bother having that kind of stuff, and then let some yokels like me or you get to their brains a little bit. It kind of makes me laugh at how sensitive these guys actually are.
Yeah. I mean, it's even like with Yankee fans. I don't know if you're a part of any Yankee Twitter communities, but I'm in one. And there's this one fan, if you don't say what she likes, blocked. Doesn't matter what it is, because she's all over Rizzo's friggin' balls. And it's like, okay, the guy has done nothing in like a year and a half now. But yet he's the end-all, be-all. Make that make sense. I don't...
Let's
get
into the Yankees right now, Jim. They made their September call-ups yesterday, and everybody's dismay. And I was quite shocked when I read it yesterday morning that Jason Dominguez didn't get called up. The Martian, as he's called, was supposed to be the next coming of who knows what. He never got the call-up. Everybody was expecting him to get called up, and they left him down in the minors. And it's probably for good reason, I guess, for long-term. You have your contractual control over guys, everything else, because he's a rookie and blah, blah, blah. But he got brought up last year, and he hit a home run as his first at-bat with Justin Verlander. Now he's sitting down in the minors, and they brought up a guy that I've never heard of before for the stretch run. And you're in like the Yankees are in a stretch run right now. They're tied with Baltimore to help make it make some sense to me, Jim, why Dominguez is down in the minors and LeMahieu and Verdugo are still on the big club.
I think it's more to protect Dominguez from further injury, because don't forget, he was hurt for the beginning part of the year, like in spring training, he got hurt, whatever it was. I just don't think they want to bring him up and then take that chance on the future, because don't forget, this is the guy who's untouchable. In like any trade scenario, he's untouchable. So I think they feel if they bring him up and he gets hurt, you're only setting back his progress, which I can understand that, but right now, like, we're a team that's in first place, and not by a long margin, and nobody's afraid of us. Like, if it's me as the GM, and it's win now, because that's what sports has become. This is a win now league, and you need your best players. If Dominguez gives you that chance, I would have called him up. Verdugo's been doing nothing. You're bringing up a no-name guy. Like, I honestly would have brought the Martian up at this point.
That's the thing that you said it best, Jim. Like, you got to build for the future, and on it goes. But you know what? I could care less if they win next year. I don't know if I'll be around next year. I
Yeah.
want them to win now and get it done, because you don't know what might happen. And you're in a win now situation. You have a guy like Garrett Cole. How many more good years has he got in him? You got Soto for this year. We'll get into him in half a second here. Like, you got Soto for 1 year only guaranteed, and then you don't know what you're going to. You're having another phenomenal season from Judge. So getting the best team that you can on the lineup, because especially when they didn't do anything at the trade deadline, having it to do absolutely nothing, and then you don't do anything to improve your team within your organization, because it's such a you have such a small window, and you're starting to how many more good years of Judge do you have, or great years? Sorry, not good years, but great years of Judge do you have remaining? And to not give the players that are on your team now, number one, and then give your fan base, number two, the opportunity to look forward to a world championship. That's a big loss on Cashman, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the deadline, getting Chaz Chisholm from Miami was a good move. The thing that I've been arguing with Yankee fans about is, he's atrocious at third base. That's not his position. See, this is what Cashman loves to do. He trades guys that are good at other teams, and then you got to play them out of position. I mean, that's the one good move they did. Could they have gotten a ton of other guys and pitching and bullpen help? They absolutely could have. But Cashman, again, I don't know what's going on up there. Not much, apparently. But if we don't win this year, I honestly feel Soto doesn't stay. And not only that, how much are you going to pay Soto? Like this is the other thing. Like, you got fans that are so like, well, if we win, let him walk. If we don't win, let him walk. No, pay him whatever he wants. Like, again, we all go back to the press conference with Hal and Hank, where they said this isn't going to be the way our dad ran it. And they're living up to fruition, especially Hal, because Hank's no longer here. But how much do you pay Soto? Like, how many great years are we going to waste of Judge playing at that mediocrity line? Like, hey, we're good for 2 weeks. We suck for 2 weeks. We're good for a month. We go through a slump. We do this. We do this. We do this. Here comes the trade deadline. We do nothing. And then we're good for a few weeks. And, it's almost like being hooked up to a heart monitor, where it's like, okay, great, flatline, great, staying above board, flatline, doing great again. It's to a point where we as Yankee fans have to realize this isn't our daddy's Yankees teams anymore, like the way it's ran. And that's the problem with this fan base, these younger fan base of ours, is they don't know what it was like for guys like you and me getting to watch in the 90s, when we were getting everybody winning every year, dominating the AL East. I feel if you're going to win anything, this year's the best year to do it. I just don't know if they keep Soto. That's the big question mark.
My issue with Soto is he's never going to be your best defender. If you watched the game yesterday, he was absolutely awful yesterday. He's never going to be your best defender, because that's like Judge is their best defender. He's never going to be their best hitter, because that's Aaron Judge. He's not going to be their fastest guy. That's Volpe. So, like, how much are you going to pay a guy who's not going to be your best player? You can't pay him more than your best player, and they're giving Judge 40 sheets a year, I think it is, for the next 7 or 8 years. So how much do you spend on a guy who's not going to be your best player? He's hit 40. I think he's going to hit 40 this year, playing in with the short porch in Yankee Stadium. He's seeing a lot more pitches this year because of he's hitting in front of Judge, and on it goes. Soto's benefiting more from Judge than Judge is benefiting from Soto. So how much do you give a guy because he's a shiny new toy? Do you say, here's an open checkbook? I let him walk. If he doesn't want to stick around for 40 or 45, and I get it. I talked about the other morning, but I get it. He's like, he might get, and people say, yeah, he likes it in the Bronx. You know what he's going to like? He's going to like more zeros on the end of his bank account. These athletes, they have zero loyalty to their teams. And I could be wrong, but I don't think that a lot of these guys give a shit where they play. Like
No,
it
they
doesn't
don't.
matter. Like maybe they might play in Florida or Texas because they have different taxes and all that. That might come into to a factor. But these guys don't care where they play. Winning is almost secondary. You start adding zeros on my bank account, they'll tell you how much I like playing here. Oh, I love playing in the Bronx. Yeah, we're paying you $48 million a year. Like
Exactly.
there's zero loyalty, and for people to say he's going to stick around, because he likes it there, I think that's a crock of shit. Because he's going to go where the Boris it will gets him the most money. He might just go right across the city because if they get in a bidding war with the Mets, they're going to say, you know what, see you later. See you later.
Yeah.
We're not going to spend $45 million or $50 million or $60 million because if they give him six, like there's talk about a six in front there, $60 million to a guy who's not even your best player. And he's not and like 70 like because you can market Ohtani, and that's why Ohtani got the 70 from the Dodgers, and they can defer the payments and on it goes because they can market Ohtani to a whole nother region in the world. You can't really do that with Soto, and I think paying the guy for who's going to be your second or third best player because he's behind. If you want to go in the hierarchy that is the New York Yankees, Judge is one, Cole's two, and everybody else is down below, and it goes like that, and it's going to be that way for at least 3 or 4 more years. So Soto, yeah, he's a shiny new toy. He's a real good player, but I'd be like, we're not giving you this much, man. We're just not.
No, especially I don't know if you heard Stephen A. Smith the other day. He says Judge is the one benefiting from Soto being there
No.
because he's on the pace to tie or even break his own record, which is complete bullshit. You and I know that because was Juan Soto on the Yankees when Judge broke the Yankee all-time home run record? No, he wasn't. And I have to agree. I mean, I agree we shouldn't pay Soto more than you're paying Judge or Garrett Cole, but you know they're going to. You know they're going to somehow, some way. The Yankees are going to do it. It's just a matter of how much. I mean, because think about it this way: he's already turned down 2 huge long-term deals of over $500 million.
Yeah.
He's done it twice already. And the first time he did it was because the Nationals asked him to defer the money, like kind of like how Ohtani did. It was a similar situation, and he said no to it. So he's like, "No, trade me." So they trade you to San Diego. San Diego offered you something similar. You said no to that. Okay, San Diego trades you. I think this guy's just going to wind up bouncing around the league and just signing here, playing here, and just boosting revenue. Just being that guy you just plug in, and he just builds your ticket sales, brings in revenue. Then he asks for a ridiculous deal because his agent's telling him to do it. And he goes, okay, well, you're not going to pay us. All right, this team's going to pay us 1 year, whatever it is. We'll go there. We'll boost their ticket sales. We'll do. He could sell out the Miami Marlins Stadium if they signed him. Like that's how much of a money maker Juan Soto is in a certain demographic, but it's nowhere near Ohtani demographic.
No, and like the thing with I think a guy like Soto. I mean, who are we on a Monday morning to tell a guy what to do? Obviously, but before you know it, like your careers is so short, and it's just over. And then before it's just done. And he's going to be 20. Like he got in the league when he was 18, and on it goes. And he won a World Series with the Nationals, and looked like his career. And his career's been fantastic. And all the metrics and all that other BS, and nobody even knows what those numbers mean half the time. Are saying he's pacing to be the next Mickey Mantle or whatever. Mantle won world championships. I think that's at the end of the day, these guys got to realize that to become to be recognized as an all-timer and all-time great, you got to put a few rings on your fingers. And these guys who bounce around from team to team with the hopes that they're going to get a team built around them, if there's only so much money to go around, and you can't just keep hoping to just go here and go here and go here and go there and hope that it works, because when all of a sudden the Yankees are how many years? 15 years, 14. This could be 15 years without a championship, and it goes by quick. And before you know it, your tenure in the league is over, and you haven't won fuck all. And I think that some of these guys got to start to realize, and that's why you see in all sports, like when guys get to a championship, like to the Stanley Cup Finals, to the Super Bowl, to a World Series, the level of competition goes to that next level. And these guys who just play the season, there's a lot more of those guys who know that they can just kind of mail it in on not a nightly basis, but in 162 games, if I mail it in 20 times, well, it happens. I'm still getting paid. I think the drive to win isn't like it used to be. Like I can honestly say, like, it seems to me that the people wanting to win championships in all sports, because the money's so big. I mean, like it's hard, and getting to that level is tough. I get it, but the drive to win a championship, I think, is not like it used to be.
No, it's not, and money is the fact. Again, money talks at the end of the day. Like, how many guys have gone to teams and you've questioned why they go there, and then you look at the years and the money, it's like, well, there's your answer. The contract gives you the answer. I mean, you see it in hockey, you see it in baseball, you see it in basketball, you've just seen it in football, with the whole Ayuk saga. Like, pretty much what they were offering him to begin with. The only difference was the guaranteed money. They raised it up like 2-3 million, and all of a sudden the 7-month saga is over with. That's about there's loyalty to a team, but the money creates the loyalty.
I don't blame guys. I mean, if somebody offered me $30 million a year to flap my gums like I do on a daily basis on this thing, I'd take it. Like, you're not going to say no. Like, you can't blame people. Like, it goes right down to, we used to talk about all the time in the past, but it's just the way sports is set up now at the like in the minor level with kids, and the way all these showcase tournaments are. Winning is secondary, and showing off your own personal skills on a daily basis for your own personal growth and personal satisfaction is way more a thing now than it's ever been. And and now you have that generation of kids who are now this generation of athletes that winning is and winning for a team is secondary. It's completely secondary, and free agencies change things. And like, if owners are giving money out to athletes, and they don't care how much they're willing to spend, I don't blame athletes for taking it, like, at all, because because at the end of the day, an athlete's just an employee. They are. And so if somebody's making, if they're making $30 million, and this guy's making 20 million, this guy's making 15, and this guy's making that, just think how much the owner's making. Like, if you want to put it in perspective, right? It's a crazy thought that, like, these guys are just employees, but they got 30 guys making minimum $1 million a piece. So what's the owner making? They don't care. Like, the network money that these guys have, it goes right through it. And the Yankees are that way. We'll get back onto them. Like, the Yankees have been that way for a long time. I mean, how many chicken buckets do they sell a game at $30 a piece for a piece of chickens and some fries? So the money that's there, it's there, right? Like, it's just what it is, and you just wonder what the hell, why it's at that point. Like, it's absolutely crazy, like, that much money, and when the Yankees can't put it together, and I think that's the one thing, because we were talking about it earlier, or you were talking about earlier, Jim, is that how George used to run the team. It's just different now compared to, like, not everybody wants to go to the Yankees, and Steinbrenner used to even sign guys like Jose Canseco back in the day just because it was a shiny. He didn't do anything, but he was just okay. Let's just add it. Let's add a bat. He looked a shiny new toy. We can sell his jersey. See you later. But it's just different now, and you got guys not wanting to go to New York, and because there's just so much more. There's just different options out there.
Yeah, it's that for one. I mean, I remember when everybody wanted to be a Yankee. Like, even if they had a deal in place with another team and the Yankees came in at the 0 hour and it was like, oh, well, Mark Teixeira is ready to sign a deal in Baltimore. 20 seconds later, oh, nope, he's going to the Bronx. How about when A-Rod was going to go to Boston? Oh, nope, the Yankees came in, offered him more money. Like, George had a different formula from Hal, and George's formula was pretty simple to me. It was get the best guy to win. Didn't matter how much it cost. I don't care about the luxury tax. I don't care about none of that. I'll pay that. It doesn't matter. How and this group that you have now that run the day-to-day, they look at every financial statistic that there is in running a business. Because, again, running a team is like running a business. And you don't want to go – you don't want to be – you don't want to be – you don't want to give everybody huge deals that don't deserve it. But the way sports is constructed now, it's a business. It's not a sport. And it's the thing that the younger fans have to realize this. So if you don't realize it, you will when you're mine and Brent's age. You'll be like, oh, shit, those two guys on a Monday just talking into a microphone were actually right. Holy shit. because it doesn't matter about the jersey. And that's the other thing. You guys get an attachment to a player to the jersey, and you need to detach yourself because they don't give a shit. The player doesn't care if you have 6 of his jerseys, and they could be from 6 different fucking teams. What does that tell you?
Yeah.
It's about which one of those teams paid them the most money. You go to Yankee Stadium, $30 for chicken bucket and friggin' French fries. I could get a friggin' $5.99 deal at Popeyes, so I'd sit at home and watch the Yankees friggin' put a shit product on the field. Why am I gonna go pay $30? Why? Because Yankee Stadium's the place to be on some idle Tuesday? No. And that's half the fan base there anyway. You go on Twitter, it's their TikToks at Yankee Stadium. Go and watch the game. TikTok at your own house. That's it. Like, I don't go to Yankee Stadium to TikTok. I could have been to a few Yankee games this year. I had no desire to go. Why? Because I'm not going to put money in the owner's pocket to support a product that's not consistent.
And like it's funny because they're
not doing it.
Like we said, like they're in first place in the American League right now, or second place, I think, just behind the Milwaukee Brewers, which is crazy. But and then they're tied for the division lead in the East. So like we Yankee fans are a little bit disgruntled that like we got a team right now that could be a championship team, but they don't scare anybody. Like the playoffs is a different beast. When it comes around, you're going to see pitching tightens up a lot more. Judge ain't seeing a pitch. He's not seeing one pitch to hit during the playoffs. Nothing. They're going to pitch around him. They're going to pitch to Soto, then pitch around Judge, and then maybe pitch to Stanton, who's actually tearing the cover off the ball as of late. But they're going to take their chances. And baseball pitching in the playoffs, it's everything. And I don't think the Yankees have the pitching staff to do anything right now. Like I've had zero faith. I've had zero faith in Nestor Cortez since he came up, and all that fancy twitching and holding and how he pitches. I've had zero faith in him, and he showed it yesterday again. And I don't think the Yankees have the pitching to get things done in the playoffs. And the way that they've kind of been 5-5 or last 10. They lost to a not a very good, like they're an average Cardinals team over the weekend. A few weeks back, they've somehow lost to the 107 loss. The Chicago White Sox, like I'll talk about bad baseball team. Holy cow! Like, to lose 107 games, that's tough to do. That's really, really hard to do. You think you would fall into 1 or 2 here and there throughout the season, but like you look back at the Yankees, like they don't scare anybody. They got Rizzo back yesterday. I personally think, and you hate to say it, but I think that they should have put DJ LeMahieu to pasture. I think it's just over for him. He's hitting 197. Once you hit below 200, it's time to go. It really is. And like you look at Verdugo, and we talked about it before the season started, how much of a douche nozzle that guy is. And he's proven that he had a good start to his Yankee tenure, but he's been bloody awful. A little bit better since I blasted him a couple of weeks ago. Maybe he heard something that he didn't like, but that team doesn't scare anybody. And I think it's going to, they're going to get a rude awakening in the first round of playoffs.
Absolutely. I mean, even the pitching. I mean, people taking a shit on Garrett Cole. You guys have to realize Garrett Cole got hurt in spring training, and when they brought him back up, he had limited repetition in his rehab assignment. You call him back up, and he's going to get shelled the first few games. It's to be expected. It happens, but you got fans out there that were gung-ho on Clay Holmes at the beginning of the year. This guy was unstoppable. And I'm telling Yankee fans, listen, that lightning in the bottle is going to end. And when it ends, you're going to be telling a different story. Sure enough, get this guy off my team. It's a cardiac arrest. Like, not for nothing, Clay Holmes is a guy in the playoffs I wouldn't even trust to close the fucking clipboard before putting him in the bottom of the ninth to close a game out in a clutch situation. Like, if these guys, these younger fans thought Clay Holmes was the second coming of Mariano Rivera. Listen. Nope. There ain't nobody, and this is the problem with a lot of Yankee fans out there. You're stuck in the past. You think Mariano's walking out and saving us? No. You think Jeter's coming up and getting a clutch hit? Nope. You think even old man David Justice is going to hit a clutch home run in the ALCS at some point? No. Not going to happen. This is the Yankee team you have now, and all I could say is this. Light your prayer candles, say a prayer, and just hope for the best at this point, because I don't see a World Series this year.
Well,
as a Yankee fan, being honest.
Yeah, and I feel the same way. Like that's what bothers me about the way the game is played nowadays. It's strikeout. It's all or nothing, all or nothing.
Yeah,
And like people fail to realize that Jeter's been gone for 10 years now. Mariano's been gone for 11 years now, and that's a lot. That's a career for a lot of guys, right?
yeah,
And these guys who are generational players, like the Yankees had a lot of those guys and Hall of Famers up and down the lineup and everything else. And the way the game is constructed, the way the game is played now, and we've talked about it before. I hate the way that if a guy strikes out, they don't even seem upset anymore. It's just like, okay, I struck out. And it's
yeah,
not even like they can't even get a bunt down here and there. Like you look at the fucking Little League World Series, like a bunt got laid down to win the whole thing, and it was a week ago, and it was awesome. Like it's one of those things, and you
yeah,
just don't see that much anymore, and you don't see the game being played that way. Now it's all or nothing, and I struck out. Oh well, I didn't get on base.
yeah.
Oh well, and I don't understand. Like I will never understand that mentality, and I don't understand why it hasn't gotten because it can't just be two old yahoos sitting on a computer at 9:24 Mountain Standard Time who think this on our own. It like how these baseball savants, these baseball like minds don't see that this boomer or bust way of playing the game of baseball. It just doesn't work. Like it just doesn't work, and I will not like because everybody's throwing 100 miles an hour now. And I know it's hitting a baseball is probably the hardest thing to do in
Yes.
professional sports, but put the bat on the ball and make something happen because if you put this little object in play, anything can happen. But if you strike out,
Yeah.
nothing can happen. Like, and I don't understand why that hasn't gotten into the baseball minds around Major League Baseball. I just don't understand it.
I don't get it either. I mean, I even get annoyed when Gleyber Torres hits something to third and the guy bobbles it and he's jogging like, what the fuck are you doing? Like an extra ounce of hustle, you would have been safe at first to create something. And then like when he's getting pulled out of the game, which I'll commend Aaron Boone for doing it this year. He finally had the balls to pull Gleyber out at times and bench him for a game or two, which is what I think a lot of us have been calling for some time now. And then you have this player in Gleyber Torres, and this shows you it's really not up there in some of these guys' heads. Well, I don't get why you're pulling me out. And then you got Aaron Boone like showing him, look, you could have been safe if you just ran a little harder.
Yeah.
And Gleyber's like, oh, I guess. What do you mean you fucking guess? No, you could have been safe. The one thing I was always taught when I played baseball was you hustle. Whether it's a ground ball, a shallow shot to center field, whatever it was, when you drop that bat, you run. That's it. And I think these guys, I don't even get why you wouldn't want to hustle. I mean, I honestly think with some of these guys with their conditioning, I think it hurts them a bit more because you see a lot more hamstring pulls because of it.
Well, and that's it's funny with all the conditioning these guys have, and they have the best doctors, they have the best medicine, they have the best nutritionalists, everything else. Like how these guys are hurt so often, it's mind-boggling to me that there is even a thing called the IL because these guys are fine-tuned machines, and they're not me and you. Like these guys are machines that should be able to make this work, not a broken down 50-year-old ex-goaltender. Like it's odd that these guys get busted up the way they do. Yeah, the compete level that a lot of guys have, like a lot of guys do compete, but I just don't know if it's there. You spoke of Aaron Boone earlier there, Jim. If the Yankees don't fall into one, I personally think that they have to make. I don't know if they will, but he's a player's guy, and I like Boone. I do. I think I think he's a good guy, a good manager, and everything else. But eventually, they have to realize if they don't fall into one this year, that maybe it's time to make a change. And I think that goes right up to the Cashman thing. Like I know Cashman's an honorary Steinbrenner, but eventually it's shit or get off the pot, and it's getting old. And I think we might have talked about this in the past. Like you look at a team like the Cleveland Guardians, whatever they're called now. They're in first place in the American League Central, and they spend less than what the Yankees outfield makes.
Yeah.
And so eventually, you would think that Steinbrenner's got to be like, okay, I spend how many billions of dollars since 2009, since the last time we won a world championship? Billions. Like we're not talking millions here. Billions.
Yeah.
We haven't put one together. Somehow in 2015, the Cleveland or the Kansas City Royals put one together. They've won. You have teams that get to the playoffs year in, year out. They've come close to winning. And now you have the Cleveland Guardians who don't spend $100 million, and not even close. They're in first place. eventually you got to think that Steinbrenner is going to say, listen, what the heck? Where's all this fucking money going? Like, what are we
Yeah.
doing? Where is this money going? Like eventually Cashman's got to be held accountable. You would think.
Yeah, that's something Hal's got to look at and be like, listen, you eventually have to sit everybody in the room one on one. Listen, Brian, what are we doing here? Like, you gave this guy this deal, you gave this guy this deal, you gave this guy this deal. What have we won? Nothing. Like, why do you think I should keep you? Aaron Boone, yes, he's a player's coach, and he does shoulder a lot of the blame from the fan base. But you have to realize there's only so much Aaron Boone can do. Like, he can't make Stanton go up there and hit a home run. He can't make Judge get a hit every game, but he can hold guys accountable. And when he starts that with Glaber, that's when I think certain people that hated Boone, it was like, all right, even if we don't win this year, I could go with another year of Boone, but you got to get rid of Cashman. But even with Cashman, to, to, to criticize him is correct, but it's one of those, even he can't make guys step up in the biggest spot. I mean, you could blame him for bringing guys in and it not work out. And that's what I think we all do. But at the end of the day, is it really Cashman's fault or is it the player's fault? In a way, I've been thinking about it more because somebody was like, Cashman can't make a guy go up there and hit a single with two guys on.
Well,
No, you're absolutely right. You can't, but you could criticize him for a lot of what he could have did to what he didn't do to what he should have done to what could have been. You could criticize him for that, and I think that's where the criticism is fair. Like, okay, you traded for Verdugo. Okay, we needed a left fielder. You filled a legitimate problem. That's great. But is it Cashman's problem that Verdugo started hot and went completely cold?
No.
So it's one of those, you can't have your cake and eat it too, where it's, we all want to blame Cashman for everything. Listen, I'm not letting Cashman off the hook for it because this is a guy who fans are giving credit for the Yankee dynasty, and he didn't build it. Okay, so like you can't totally let Cashman off the hook, but he's got to take accountability too, and he's got to take more accountability than Boone because he's the GM. And I think honestly, if you're going to make a move, I think Cashman's the easiest one to make because how many guys you're going to find that are MLB manager ready to take Boone's spot? That's going to be another yes man. Like there's a reason why Girardi's not here no more. Girardi wasn't a yes man. Boone is, and that's why I think Boone will have a longer leash than Cashman.
Well, that's just it. You fire a guy, then what? Then what?
Yeah.
Then the next guy up. The next guy, it's going to be what the organization wants. They're going to get this guy, insert this guy here, insert this guy here. Like until the because it's a culture thing, right? So you can't just keep replacing guys because be careful who you fire, and that's probably like where you work and where I work, where everybody works. Be careful who you get rid of because is the next guy going to be any fucking better? Probably not.
Yeah.
He might be marginally, something might change here and there, but this is the system that you got. So just firing guys isn't the solution. Like there are, like I thought they should have kept Girardi, or like the way he lost in 2017. Should have won that game against the fucking no good cheating Astros, and on it goes. But they didn't score any runs, so they blamed Girardi back then. It's crazy to think it's been that many years since that Boone's been around. But you can't just keep firing guys like George used to fire Billy Martin back in the day every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
It didn't like, what did that do? Because those teams back in the 80s were quite bad. You just wonder what the end result's going to be this year. Because like I said, I don't know if the Yankees scare anybody. And you look at that Houston team. Now that's a close thing to a dynasty that we've seen in a long time. And they're starting to roll right now. And they could do a lot of damage because they went and made some deals at the deadline. Do you think it's just a thing that there's maybe, Jim, that maybe teams just don't want to deal with the Yankees because of their success and because of Cashman's arrogance per se, that maybe they just, you know what, the phone doesn't ring, it's me, man. I ain't calling you. I don't want to deal with you. And that might be a thing. Maybe it's just that kind of a disdain for Cashman. He's been around for so long. The Yankees have had success, and maybe other teams say, you know what, screw you. I have this piece here. We're not trading him. We're just not.
I think part of it is the arrogance. I think it's too that Cashman has made it known. Listen, if you're going to do business with the Yankees, there's certain guys that are not touchable in a trade scenario, and those are the guys that these other teams want. Like, are you willing to wait another 2, 3 years to see what Spencer Jones is going to maybe be or what he could be? Or can you get a guy that's going to help you win a World Series now? For me, the answer is simple. Buy Spencer Jones, and if you
Bye-bye.
turn out to be a great player elsewhere,
Oops.
then you know what? Then good for you. Okay, then we made a mistake. We shouldn't have traded you, but guess what? We got a World Series out of it this year, and it's the same thing with a lot of guys that Cashman wants to protect. Like George was never afraid to trade the farm. Oh, okay, you want this guy? Okay, yeah, you have him, and then what happens? We win a World Series. So again, it's a win now league. You can't hold on to these guys forever. You know, you can't hoard them. You can't hoard them in your farm because you could get another. You can get another prospect in the next draft, and the draft after that, and the draft after that, and the draft after that. There's going to be prospects in Major League Baseball drafts for the next 30 years to come. How do you know you don't find another Spencer Jones, another Jason Dominguez? Like, how do you know? You don't know. But to sit there and say, well, we're going to bank on Spencer Jones being the next Aaron Judge. Well, if you think that, then why isn't he up here right now, helping you win now? That's when you really want to see what he can do. I don't care what he's doing in Somerset. I don't give a shit. I want to see what he does in the Bronx on a Wednesday tie game, bottom of the ninth, bases loaded, and he's up at the plate, and you got 2 outs, and it's a full count. What does Spencer Jones do there? Does he come in clutch for you, or does he fucking shit the bed? That's what I want to see.
Yeah, because prospects they're just prospects. They done nothing. I could care less. I don't care about next year, and I think more and more teams that like because the Yankees they give themselves a shot every year to at least make the playoffs. Like they're not you can't think they're a championship team every year, but there's a lot of teams that would, and a lot of fan bases, Jim, that would kill to be in our position year in year out, where at least they have a shot. You're not like the Pittsburgh fucking Pirates or the like we said earlier. We're not the Chicago White Sox who got 107 losses. So you want to have a chance. Like a lot of people would love to be in our situation where you got a chance to win. We're not just a 500 franchise. I'm not part of it, obviously, but and so go out and win now. You have to. You can't wait for this guy that might be good. That might be, because that is might.
Yeah.
You don't know. So what are you holding on to? If I can go and get this guy or that guy who's going to be helping me now, not now, right now, because you have a championship window of Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole, Stanton, like I said earlier on, hitting the ball a little bit. Torres is probably gone. Rizzo's probably done this year. Contract's up. So you have a bunch of guys that have been around for a few years that might win something. You got one of the best rookies in baseball as your catcher, who's tearing the cover off the ball. So they have a chance right now to do something, and to not do it, I just don't understand. To not pull the trigger and get something done, it makes zero sense to me. It makes zero sense why you wouldn't give the players you got and give your fan base something to look forward to. Because I don't know how it is like around your neck of the woods out there in Long Island, but there can't be much of a thought process that they're going to do anything. Like the fan base can't think they got a great shot. And I mean, there's everybody as a Yankee fan is a bit of a chip on our shoulder, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah.
And so, but there has to be a bit of negativity with people in your neck of the woods.
Oh, there is, and I'm definitely the head of it because it's just being realistic. And we've seen, like, going back to what you might become, we've already seen Cashman make this mistake twice. Miguel Andujar, Clint Frazier.
Yep.
When we could have got Garrett Cole from Pittsburgh well before we got him now, and all that held it up was Clint Frazier and Brian Cashman, and this shows you that he's really not that smart up there when it comes to certain things. Oh, he's going to be the next great thing. Really? Where's Clint Frazier now? He's playing for the fucking Barnstormers or somewhere in the Atlantic League. Okay? That's where he is. So that's what you held up a deal to get Garrett Cole.
They sat on him forever. People wanted him and no, and then nothing.
And then, he had a few bright moments when he was on the roster, but that guy dove more than Michael Phelps diving into a pool to win an Olympic medal. And then he got vertigo, and then he was finally released or whatever it was. And it's like that's the casualty and that's the mistake made by Cashman because you held on to a prospect you thought was going to be so good. And what did it get you? Because had you had gotten Cole that year, he wouldn't have went to Houston. Houston probably wouldn't have as many World Series as it has now. So because you held on to one guy to not get the guy you really needed, it cost you a lot more. And the repercussions of it are what you're seeing even to this day as we're sitting here talking about it. When Cashman holds on to these guys, because it's what they may be or what they could turn out to, unless Cashman's got a crystal ball we don't know about, you don't know. Like to sit there like Debbie Garcia. Everybody thought Debbie Garcia was the next coming of like Greg Maddux. And we could have traded him, and Cashman said no, and then he came up and he sucked.
Nothing out of that guy. Let's turn back the clock a little bit here, Jim. Last weekend, the Yankees had their old-timers. They don't play the game anymore, which I don't know if I like that or don't like that. I'm neither here nor there. It doesn't really much matter to me. But Alex Rodriguez made his return into pinstripes the first time since he retired back in 2015, I think it was, the whole Forgive campaign, and on it went. And his marketing guys did a hell of a job because he tricked me, but I think he's an idiot. But that's a personal thing with like his whole TikTok and J-Lo and on it goes with him. But he made his return to the stadium last week to a pretty good round of applause. Do you ever see a time where Mr. Alex Rodriguez, number 13, will find a place in Monument Park?
Ooh. I think you see that before you see him get in the Hall of Fame. I think you see it at some point. I think eventually they're just like, yeah, we got to put somebody in Monument Park. Who do we put? Well, man, A-Rod helped win us a championship in 2009. Let's put him in there. I think it'll just be done just because of that. Because he was one of the key guys that got us a World Series along with CC Sabathia and the countless other guys on that team. I think he gets in there before they finally announce that Brett Gardner retired from baseball. I think he gets in.
It's crazy to I would put him in because no matter what the guy did and what you think of him, he was a great player. And the only thing that he really steroids, but the only thing he really did wrong is I don't want to say low self-esteem, but low self-esteem might have been his downfall, because he was one of the best players in baseball. He's one of the best players to ever play the game, even before he got onto the juice, before he went to Texas there. And he could have been an all-time great without it. He was already like Barry Bonds, the same thing. And just their own lack of self-esteem, or knowing that other guys were doing it as well, that might be his only downfall, is he couldn't stand to be second or third fiddle. And that kind of was his downfall for sure. And then to not tell the truth about it on the Michael Kay show and on it goes, like you probably remember better than I do, but how he blatantly lied about the whole thing. I think that's his biggest downfall. If he would have just come out and said, you know what, I did it, because Andy Pettitte said, yeah, I took it to help out rehab assignment, blah blah blah. If A-Rod would just come out and said it, he wouldn't have such a negative people have such a negative thought process about A-Rod, because as much as I think he's a nozzle, he's a great ball player. He's a great ball player.
Yeah, you can't take the talent away. I think, because people will tell you, like, he is one of the best to ever play. You can't take that away. But when you got the steroid thing going on, like, everybody wanted to deny it. Everybody. But you had guys that were like, you know what, fuck this. I'll just admit it, because if I deny it, it's just going to drag out. And I think if A-Rod went that road instead of the road he went down and then finally admitted it, and then tweaked the story 17 times here and there, I think honestly, the personal perception of A-Rod is a lot different than what it is today. But I think a lot of that too is probably his agent, people around him saying, well, if you admit it, then people are going to look at you this way and they're going to think that you're just a cheater and this, that, and the third. But I don't think people would have looked at it that way, because we all knew that McGuire was taking it and Sosa, and we were all still watching. But it's funny, a league that turned its eye to it became the league that is against it. Like, it's kind of a slippery slope in that department because don't forget, Major League Baseball knew this was going on
Oh yeah.
and said, well, people are watching more now, people are paying more now, people this, people that. Because don't forget, a few years before that, you had the work stoppage, and then nobody was really watching because of it. So you have this chase of history, and it's like, all right, we'll turn the blind eye to it. Then Canseco, who's really the biggest fucking douche nozzle in this whole situation, writes a book and outs everybody, and to this day has an issue with Alex Rodriguez, but yet he can't tell you what the issue is. So it's like the biggest guy who took the steroids and then outed everybody is the guy who hates Alex Rodriguez for an unknown disclosed reason and judges Alex Rodriguez for taking steroids, but you took it yourself. Yeah, make that one make sense. Like,
Yeah,
come on.
that's a good point, Jim. Like, holy, like
Come on.
there's something that went in along there, and something about A-Rod's first wife, and there's all kinds of innuendo and blah blah going on, and
Yeah.
you wonder what it actually is, because Canseco, he's not known to keep his yap shut. And how he's kind of been forced, and there must be some kind of a lawyer thing, a hush money thing, or something, a stop and decease order or something going on. Because Canseco, man, he was on what was that stupid reality show? The fuck was that one? With Flavor
Oh,
and what was that celebrity? Well, I can't remember what it was called, but he was
Celebrity Rehab or some shit.
He's on that show, and they didn't kick him out, and they thought he was an abuser and blah blah blah. And he wasn't afraid to flap his gums. And Canseco's
No.
he was the first bad boy, right? With
Yeah.
McGuire back in the late 80s there, and how he's still flapping his gums to this day and everything else. And he just got himself inducted into the Oakland A's Hall of Fame somehow. So, well, I mean, like, you put it like, as much as people don't want to admit it, Jose Canseco is just as much of a part of baseball history as A-Rod is. If you want to get down to it, like, he's part of it. He's part of the whole steroids thing. He's part of the first 40-40 guy in baseball history, and how he went about it. Who cares? Because I remember as a kid, you're like, holy, this 40-40 thing is it's remarkable. And now you got Bloody Ohtani might be doing 50-50 this year, and that's crazy. But what that guy is doing is absolutely crazy. And to think that $70 million, you think about it, at $70 million, it might be a bargain. Like, after this season, when you go back pitching, at $70 million is a bargain. Like, because the amount of money the Dodgers are making off that guy, it's got to be triple that. Has to be.
Oh, without a doubt, it is. I mean, and people knock the Dodgers for even giving them that money. But if you think about it, Ohtani's doing them a huge favor. And he's doing himself a favor because he deferred more than 3/4 of it. So you're not paying him what you would normally be paying him. So he gets all that money at the end of his career. And that's something that, again, Ohtani didn't have to do. But he did it. And the Dodgers right now, they're making a shit ton of money off of him. But I hope they're taking that money and putting it into the we got to pay Ohtani in like 13 years account, because yeah, you're making a ton of money. But even Ohtani gets with the whole gambling thing. Like, there was a video. There was a video somebody put out where they're trying to mimic this other guy who does these political videos. And she's like, so Major League Baseball can make all this money off of sports booking, but Pete Rose can't get into the Hall of Fame. Okay, got it. Meanwhile, this girl's like 21 years old. So you don't know anything about Pete Rose. You weren't even a thought dad's ball bag when Pete Rose was changing the outcome of games. So I respond to the video, as I would normally do anyway. I said, listen, Pete Rose was betting on games he managed to change the outcome. I said, that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame, because when he was doing it, it wasn't legalized. I was like, stick to watching fucking Powder Puff Girls or Teletubbies or whatever it is you 21-year-old girls do, and just don't talk about something you don't know about. Next thing you know, there's a DM, you're an asshole, yeah, no shit, blah, 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 whatever it is. I go ask your dad. Oh, wow, yeah, my dad told me everything. I'm sorry for calling you an asshole. No, you're not sorry you called me an asshole. Just don't do it again.
That people like you hear a lot of people talk about the Pete Rose thing, and yeah, he never bet against his team to lose, and if you want to get in a barroom conversation at any point with sports fans, just say the two words Pete Rose, and it just goes
Yeah,
because people are so divided on that whole thing, and I'm like, okay, he never bet on his team to lose. I agree with you, but he didn't always bet on his team to win, and he didn't bet every day. Like he knew what days to do things, and he could juggle the lineup from
yeah,
the day before to make sure that this pitcher was here and this guy was set up here and the lineup was this. Like he was able to do that. And it wasn't that he was betting on his team to lose because he admitted it. And then Pete Rose, like every time he gets a chance to say sorry, to say I shouldn't have done it, he finds a way to trip over his dick every single time. Like he never says the right thing. And that's just the thing that he's never really felt any remorse for
no,
being banned. Like it's everybody else's fault but Pete Rose's. Is he an all-time great? Probably one of the greatest players to ever play the game. Probably a
yeah.
top 10 guy. What year was that? 2000. I can't remember when they did that all-century team. Probably in 2000 when they did the all-century team. Good prognosis, Brent. You fucking idiot. But it's you think that like but he's never once said sorry. Or he
No,
may have, but I don't think he's ever meant it.
no, and even if he does, even if he means it, I still think Major League Baseball is going to punish him. Like I think you put him in as a player. I think. Listen, it's not like Pete Rose is going to live a long period of time at this point. I mean, the guy is what? The
If
guy's
something
ancient.
came across the ticker this afternoon that Pete Rose passed away, it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
He's not young.
No, I mean, but like my thing is, and I catch flack for it. And again, it's a matter of opinion. I feel you put him in as a player. Let him enjoy it when he's alive.
Yeah.
Because you're just going to put him in when he's dead anyway. Like you're just going to do it as a sympathy thing to the family. And I've said it before on one episode I addressed it. I was like, if I'm the Pete Rose family, I say, no, we don't want him in the Hall of Fame because you're just doing this because he passed away now. Like, fuck you, Major League Baseball. Like,
Yeah.
he made a mistake.
You can't
Like,
use his
yes,
name to sell
he made a
T-shirts. No,
mistake.
fuck off. Yeah.
Yeah, like, yes, he made the mistake. Yes, when he apologized, was he really remorseful about it? Again, yeah, no, depends on your matter of opinion of how somebody says sorry, which I'm sure there's a scientific fact to that. Well, if you say it this way, you're remorseful, but if you say it this way, you don't mean it, whatever. I'm sure Pete Rose probably falls right in the middle of that statistic and that whole
I like to read
algorithm.
that book to find out how to say sorry. I could use that once in a while around here.
But like,
How to say sorry by Jim Plotner.
oh God, I don't know if anybody
Be a
would want to
very
read
short
that
book.
book.
Be a very short book.
Just say I'm sorry and then this.
Yeah.
But like,
I don't know.
but I would just let him in now. Let him enjoy the benefit of it, and then when he passes, then it's all is done with it. Then he's in. You don't have. There's no like negative backlash, and I think Major League Baseball right now, I would shy away from negative backlash.
Well, it's such a it's becoming a baseball becoming a very niche sport. Like football's king, obviously, the way that and I think it's the marketing machine that the NFL has is second to none. Like,
Yeah.
is the game better? Who knows? Is it better than baseball? Who knows? Is it better than hockey? Who knows? But the way they market it, it's second to none. And it's like a lot of times I said it before. It's the popular kid in high school because it's popular. The games are great, the sports, but it's not that like the sport itself isn't that much above baseball itself, but just the way it's marketed. And putting a guy in, and I don't think there's such a thing as bad press when it comes to Hall of Fame, because I don't think people are going to stop watching baseball because Pete Rose is getting in the Hall of Fame. Like I'm not going to. Like I'll keep watching it. Like I don't think you're going to lose.
I will.
And I think you're going to. I think Barry Bonds should be in the Hall of Fame. I really do.
Yeah.
He's still got the most home runs. He's got the most home runs in a season, and on it goes. I think he was a Hall of Fame before he went to San Francisco. Like that did not have him in the Hall of Fame because you got a bunch of these do-good baseball writers who don't watch half the fucking games anyways, and they're the ones making the decisions about who's in the Hall of Fame and who's not. I think that's a huge mistake. They got to revamp how that whole thing is done. I think.
Well, I've been saying that forever.
I think you got to have the guys who are actually in the Hall of Fame, the players, having them vote. I think you should have some of the players who are playing today, who are in the upper echelon, the Aaron Judges of the world, the Garrett Coles of the world. You even have Altuve, because he's probably getting in the Hall of Fame, and he was on that team. So are those Houston Astros guys? Are they not getting in the Hall of Fame?
They will.
They will. They got immunity, then they sold out their manager, and on it goes. They'll get in. And what they did to me is worse than what Barry Bonds did, allegedly or unallegedly did. Like everything that happened with that, because they physically cheated in the game. They didn't take the like steroids, and because no matter what, and yeah, you can hit a ball further if you got more muscle. I get it, but you still got to hit the fucking thing, and it's hard.
That's the thing I got into an argument with somebody about, because they're like, Barry Bonds shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. He cheated baseball. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, listen here. I'm going to explain this to you. You could literally be the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger, but if you can't hit a ball, it doesn't mean shit. I said there's scientific factors of hitting a baseball. There's all this probability and all this shit. I said, you sit there and you're telling me hitting a golf ball that's stationary on a tee is harder to hit than a baseball. Well, first off, you're an idiot if you think that, because it's completely false.
Yeah.
I don't care. Like, I guess as we get older, we realize that whatever, you know what, they did it, whatever it is. But if Major League Baseball is acknowledging these records by steroid guys,
one or the other,
then it's either you acknowledge the record, you put them in the Hall of Fame, you don't acknowledge the record, and you give it to Aaron Judge, and you don't put him in the Hall of Fame. But you can't sit there and have it both ways. It's just it's bullshit, because you have vindictive writers who, some of them were probably there during the 98 chase and during Bonds' chase, that were writing, oh, this is the greatest thing for baseball ever. Now here it comes 10, 15 years later, and it's time for Bonds to go in, and it's like, nope, he cheated the game. We're not putting him in. I think until these older dickhead writers pass away or retire, whatever comes first, and you have guys like you and me in that are more, you know, we don't look at things necessarily in black and white. We look in that shade of gray, okay? And you see certain things for what it is and what it might be, for what it could be, what might have been, whatever it is. Guys like me, if I was a writer, I'm putting Bonds in, I'm putting Clemens in, because of what they did before the allegations. Like, they were already on this path. So it's like, just take it based off that alone and take the steroid part out of it. But you can't sit there and acknowledge this record, not only having the most home runs ever, but having the single season home run record ever, and then turning around and be like, well, you can't benefit in one of the biggest things baseball has to offer because of this career that you put up, because you may or may not have cheated. It's bullshit to me.
Well, it's a good point, Jim. Like, you don't see them going into Roger Clemens' house and taking away his Cy Young trophies, right?
No, are they taking Bonds' MVPs away?
Either you acknowledge how great he was, you put him in the Hall of Fame, you let him keep his all stuff, or you don't. Which one is it? You can't talk out of both sides of your mouth. You can't acknowledge how great these guys were, have them on the MLB network. You can't have them here, there, and everywhere, and then all of a sudden say, yeah, but you know what? I know Major League Baseball doesn't run the Hall of Fame. I get it. I understand that. I'm not an idiot.
Yeah.
But baseball has to either shit or get off the pot when it comes to these guys. And did it make them better players? Probably. But how many average guys became that were still average because all they did was it just upped everybody up to that next level. An average guy was still an average guy. The greats were still great, no matter what. Like did McGuire hit that many more home runs because of it? Who knows? Like, who knows? No one will ever know. Like, it's just the way, like you said earlier, the way that they pushed the narrative with that home run chase between Sosa and McGuire that saved baseball, which it did. And then to basically just say, but you know what? You helped us out. Here's your gold watch. Thanks for everything at retirement.
Yeah. And
fuck off.
And it's not like Sosa's. It's not like Sosa's a Hall of Famer. It's not like Sosa would have been in the Hall of Fame anyway. But you could at least put McGuire in. He had a good career. Let's not act like he didn't, because he did. But to sit there and, just like you just said, hey, thanks, here's your gold watch, now go fuck off and do whatever. I mean, if McGuire's this bad guy, how's he a hitting coach in Major League Baseball?
Good point.
How is Barry Bonds the hitting coach for the Marlins at some point if he's such this bad guy to baseball? Like if these guys are so bad, they wouldn't have got jobs in Major League Baseball. But what do we know?
And then if A-Rod's on Fox, smiling his fake smile and everything else. He's all
David Ortiz.
So what's the difference? Like
David Ortiz too. He's on Fox, and he was accused of taking steroids.
There's no way he wasn't. He was almost out of baseball at one point because he was with Cleveland, I think, at one point, wasn't he? And then he was almost out of baseball. All of a sudden, he becomes this legendary Big Pappy in Boston, and on it goes. And so there's something pretty fishy going on around there. But because he's a nice guy who says all the right things and smiles once in a while and tells some jokes, people just kind of it's okay. Like it's like, and I don't care, these guys. I could give a shit what these guys did, because they're part of the history of baseball, and they're legendary guys. I think the legends do they, and if for them to say they don't want to be in the Hall of Fame or it doesn't much matter, they're lying. If you get in the Hall of Fame, or if you don't and you were close and you because it's something you did and they're not putting you in, and to say that they don't care, they're lying. They're 100%.
No, they are.
Because you look at every guy who gets in. The sense of pride that they have when they get to go there every weekend for the dinner and on it goes. There's got to be a certain level, and no matter what sport, when you get into that Hall of Fame status, that means something, man. Because it's tough to do. Like, how many guys play that game and they don't get in the Hall of Fame, and once you're in, it's something. So for these guys to say that they don't care, they're lying. They're lying.
No, absolutely lying. Because if that was me and I was this close to getting in, and then something held me back, I'd be devastated. I mean, you could have me on TV saying, yeah, it don't matter, but behind closed doors, I'd be freaking throwing shit. Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. You're not putting me in because of this or whatever it is. I mean, how many guys are in the Hall of Fame in any sport that have done worse than take steroids? I mean, O.J. Simpson's in the fucking Hall of Fame of football, and he was a womanizer and a quote-unquote murderer, okay?
Yeah.
That just tells you all you need to know.
Well,
I mean, and it's not like his womanizing was hidden, because it was out there and everybody knew, but he was still voted in. Why? Because he was a great running back. Okay, so if that's the case, Barry Bonds was a great hitter. Why is he not in? One was beating the shit out of women on a daily basis, but because he was a good running back, you put him in the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds, who had this clean image other than taking a needle to his ass cheek, okay, doesn't get in. I get they're two different sports, but it's still a Hall of Fame.
Well, let's go back to like the Deshaun Watson thing. We started the show with you got yourself blocked by him on Instagram. Like, you go back to that, and me and the wife were talking about this yesterday. How prevalent this abuse of women is. It's crazy to me. Like how and how these guys, because they can throw a football, or they can run, or they can hit, or they can skate, or whatever. Like how this. And I didn't mean to go here. We're going to, apparently, is like how prevalent this is, and how these guys aren't shunned by the public. Like it's crazy to me to think that, and I don't want, we won't get political because that's a whole other thing. But like it's crazy to me how, because these guys can play a sport at a high level, that they're just forgiven. Like hockey did it. Like there was a situation. I don't know if you heard about this here in Hockey Canada. A few guys got banned. National Hockey League. Carter Hart was one of them. Goaltender. They got their team said there was 5 or 6 guys that did something when they were 17, 18 years old, and the hockey world, like every team said, no, thanks, bye, see ya. We don't need this. We don't need this problem in our locker room. We don't need this in the press. We don't need this in the stands. We don't need people protesting. But other sports have just kind of went, he's a good football player. Let's let him play. I don't understand it.
I mean, you see it. I mean, you had the Watson thing. Then you have, then all these other guys of late that have been arrested for domestic violence, or just even getting into trouble in general. Like, you have Rashee Rice of the Chiefs, who's like driving around Dallas, Texas, like in the Fast and the Furious, hits how many cars, and yet there's no punishment for him yet. But there's these other guys who have done less that are already getting punishments, which I don't know. And then not only that, we live in 2024, right? Right? How are we still having people get into DWIs and then killing people? Because that whole thing with the kid from Columbus,
Goudreau, yeah.
him and his brother, with Goudreau getting killed, that guy is an asshole. And then in court, because you're told, oh, well, you're going to be held for 72 hours, and you're sighing. Oh, sorry, jerk off. You just killed two people. You ruined you ruined these kids' lives, the wife's life, this whole family's life. You ruined it because of one bad decision you made, and you're sighing about it because you got to sit in fuck me in the ass prison and somewhere in central friggin' Jersey. Go fuck yourself.
And the thing with that, like,
come on,
he seems like he's put out because he's got to be in there for I think it was till Thursday actually because of the long weekend and on it goes.
Yeah,
but dude, that 3 extra days, that's the least of your worries right now, man. The least of your worries. You ain't getting out for a long time. You might get out between now and your hearing or your court case, but after that, you ain't getting out for a long time. Vehicular manslaughter, like I said, that 3 days is the least of your worries. Crazy. It's crazy.
Take that extra 3 days to realize all you had to do was go on this app called Uber and request a ride.
Yeah.
Because what would have cost you $30 most to get to wherever you were to get back to your house is now costing you tens of thousands of dollars you probably do not have.
You ain't getting that back at all. Jim,
you're not getting that back at all, so.
Let's wrap things up with a little bit of who is better. I got 4 of them for you, then we'll call it a day, and we can go enjoy our holiday Monday.
Yep.
Ready to go? They're more of like what is better? What's better, a holiday Monday or a holiday Friday?
Ooh. See, with me, it depends because I work every other Saturday. So if I don't work that Saturday, it's holiday Friday.
I like the holiday Friday myself. For some because you get that Thursday, you can go and stuff, and Thursdays are better than a Sunday. Just one of those things.
Yep.
What is better, Burger King or McDonald's? Or what's your go-to burger place?
I haven't eaten either one of them in so long, but usually I go to Burger King.
The Whopper's good.
Burgers are just better. The burgers are just better.
I like a good burger. I like a good Whopper. Like the McDonald's is, but it's just they're everywhere. That's the problem, right? Like fucking everywhere. You stop and you get one. What is better, Billy Ray Cyrus's "Achy Breaky Heart" or "Wannabe" by the Spice Girls? Both horrific, awful songs in my opinion. But which one's better?
Oh God, we really got to pick one of these. I'm going Billy Ray Cyrus. I can't go Spice Girls. I'm sorry. If there's anybody watching who says Spice Girls, listen, that's your opinion. But I'm going old school Billy Ray.
That Spice Girls song is absolutely the Spice Girls in general are awful, but that Wannabe thing that came out in 97, it changed the world. Like it was fucking terrible. Terrible. Last one, we'll get you out of here. What is better, Stan's or Billy's?
Ooh. Ooh. I got to go Billy's because I've had many a good night at Billy's when I go to Yankees games. Some of them I can't even remember, but yeah, Billy's for sure.
The way that transforms, like Stan's is iconic, right? Like it's one of those places you go before a game and after a game. But the way Billy's transforms into this fucking nightclub out half a block from Yankee Stadium, and not even it's right across the street pretty much. And the way that place turns into the fucking one of the best nightclubs in New York City, it's crazy. It's actually crazy what goes on in there. And like the 2 levels, the whole bit, the outside bar, and on it goes. Yeah, no, it's something else there. It's a lot of. So I spilled a few drinks in there myself there, Jim. I had a few. Hey, man, it's a lot of fun. Once again, it's been a while. It's been a few weeks, been a few months. So thanks for coming back on, joining us.
Anytime, you know that.
Tell us about your show. Everybody knows. Let's hear some more for our new listeners.
Pretty much right now I got I got 3 of them going on. My own, which is Fan in the Van, and then I do one with Garrett. Steel and Teal, where we try to talk Steelers Jaguars, but it does go off the rails a bit. And then I got Cigar and Sports with E-Man from Average Joe Sports. We recently just had Cigar Clowns on, which was a good episode. It kind of delved away from sports for a bit and more on the cigar side of it, which was good. Which is out now. It's on YouTube, Rumble. I guess you could still watch it on Twitter if it's still on there because he streams through there too. So, other than that, I should have a new episode out hopefully Wednesday because Tuesday I got a lot to do in the morning, so I ain't gonna be able to get one out. But Wednesday should be a new one out, and I'm sure between now and then somebody will message me something stupid, and then I get to address it. So
There you go. It's one of the good things about getting behind these microphones now and then. No, Jim,
yeah,
last question. Yankees, are they going to win a World Series?
no, not with this bullpen, not with this rotation, and now with the way Boone can't keep a lineup consistent. No.
No, I don't think so either. It's crazy to think that like the best team in the American League right now, and everybody's thinking not a chance. So the parity of the game, the way the game, the sport's built now, it's one of those things too. So, no,
Yeah,
Jim, thanks a lot for doing this. We'll get together again real soon.
you got it.
Take care of each other. More important, take care of yourself. Need you around. Keep your stick on the ice, and don't swing at high pitches. And remember,
Nope.
it doesn't matter where you are; it's who you're with. Have a good day, folks. We'll talk to you again tomorrow.